Oh, it's I ride up while he's chilling on the weekend, creeping, seat back, iron blow, like I'm anemic. I'ma wet everything.
When it's that time, no drinks here in front of the battle, but you ain't gonna make none of his headline.
You know my habitat. I throw bullets, Hasselback, 40, Ja Rule. I put it on him and give him a little more after that. Try me.
Small room, big stage are all terms heavily ingrained in the battle rap culture. However, the true essence of battle rap has always been linked to a small room environment where the viewers are solely honed in to the two rappers' words. No performance, no antics, no theatrics. However, for better or for worse, battle rap has evolved and has become a major mode of entertainment. Events like Summer Madness 2 on URL, Total Slaughter, Flatline on KOTD, and the Max Out events on RBE have shown how far battle rap has come over 20 years of organized battle events. While the small rooms are still an instrument in the growth of battle rap and its popularity, it's the stages that really places the major spotlight on the culture. Not only do these events draw thousands of people, but they also flood the media outlets and put the hip-hop culture in a frenzy. Whether it's battles like Mook vs. Verb, Disaster vs. Cannabis, Joe Budden vs. Hollow the Don, or Hitman vs. Cassidy. But I would be remiss if I didn't highlight the impact that small rooms had in advancing lyricism, grooming developing talent, fostering many classic battles, and, in some cases, reviving a part of their culture. Welcome to the Speaking Our Language show, and today's retrospective piece is about the resurgence of the small rooms in the late 2010s, specifically how the small rooms revived the URL platform. Coming off the heels of 2012, battle rap became heavily reliant on big events, big venues, and big stages. KOTD was more balanced when it came to throwing small-scale events and large events to draw an audience, which allowed them to have a great deal of longevity throughout the years. Meanwhile, the URL platform, which usually threw 4 to 5 events a year, made a shift towards big stages after the success of Summer Madness 2. Summer Madness 2 was pretty much the pinnacle of the URL platform, and at that time, it was very hard to recapture that flame they ignited on that night. While URL did throw small-scale events that transpired between 2013 and 2015, they were still heavily reliant on the big stages due to the scarcity of events in the URL fold. These shows were very much becoming stale. There weren't that many up-and-coming talents that could quickly transition to the big stages, and there weren't that many matchups left that were big ticket sellers. On top of that, the major stars in the URL fold were losing their hunger, and some of them were even taking their talents elsewhere. URL needed a revival, and that was Born Legacy 2. March 5th, 2015 was the turning point of the URL platform. Understanding that the fans needed balance in content and newer faces, URL launched their second installment of the Born Legacy series. The first Born Legacy in 2013 featured some heavy-hitting acts in a small room setting. Battles like Sue Surf vs. Charlie Clips, Young Ill vs. K Shine, Tay Rock vs. JC, and B Magic vs. Ill Will. However, it was meant to be an event to wrap up the year of 2013. It wasn't suited to be the launch of a thematic series. Born Legacy 2, in a weird way, technically serves as an implementation of a new URL movement, the push of the small rooms. Born Legacy 2 was an action-packed event that featured a barrage of small room battles. The event was for up-and-comers, mid-tier battlers, and veterans who have mastered the small room aesthetic. Small room battles are often associated with barfest and lyrical combat. The aim was for these guys to get a great back and forth and raise their stock in an environment that spawns lower stakes than the big stage battles. Most of these people on this card were talented individuals who weren't superstars but obviously deserved a chance to showcase their talents to the rest of the world. The card included Bangs vs. Jerry West, which was a very entertaining battle, Bonus vs. Nun Nun, where Nun Nun showed his talents, Young X vs. Dot, where Young X showed his skills, Ty Law vs. Cicero in a really solid back and forth, and Cortez and Chilla Jones that served as a solid exchange between veterans. But the battles that really made Born Legacy 2 a success were Mike P vs. Tink the Demon, Reed Dollars vs. Chess, and Av vs. Rum Nitty. Mike P and Tink the Demon's matchup did a lot for both upcoming battlers. Tink received a lot of buzz from the culture with his uncanny style, dark imagery, and witty wordplay. Meanwhile, Mike P, with his uncanny style and his great flow patterns, had something to prove against his loss against the top gunner of the class, Av. This made for an amazing back and forth and an instant Born Legacy classic.
Saucing and you offering a plate of some ribs, your child special? Now I'm giving 38 to the kid. You try to run back, breaking your ribs. Just because we look like Robin Big, don't mean I'm letting dogs skate in the crib. Get a crib. Tell Suge Ballhead nephew, the 38 special. When I shoot a J from 400 blocks, may God bless you.
Reed Dollaz and Chess was a surprisingly great back and forth between a legend that was considered to be over the hill and a teenage phenom who was trying to earn his stripes the hard way. Both of the guys came to play and deliver one of the best battles of the night. Then you have the Battle of the Night, Battle of the Year, and one of the best battles of the decade, Av vs Nitty. What is there to say? Punch fest, back-to-back haymakers, quotables galore, and a battle that reignited punchlines and being bar heavy. This battle serves as a classic that gave the URL platform another spark and reminded the staff why small rooms were vital for the brand.
Beat the foul out you, then point it at the back of the head. That's alfalfa. It ain't.
Talk to this nigga! Talk to this nigga, man! Headshot your mom's sister. They gonna have to MOP your auntie up. Hands on what?
Coming off of the success of Born Legacy 2, URL returned with their third installment in August of 2016, this time making the event a 2-day event. The weekend was action-packed. For starters, on the first night, we had the return of Prez Mafia against Nun Nun, an intense matchup between Swave 7 and Tink the Demon, an interclass war between Chess and the Saga, and to finish off the night, another amazing Born Legacy classic with Ill Will's return against Rum Nitty.
I come to your house, me, myself, and my bean, dropping shit in your yard, me, myself, and our range. Yeah!
In the hotel, long rounds for cousin, big rounds I'm stuffing. They stay ill in the lobby. I grab the nose running, I'm coming down with some.
The following day was just as entertaining, with New Jersey Twerk's debut against Dougie, Prep's return against Lada Zay, and Daylight's official URL debut against Mike P. You can tell that the more traction that these small rooms were getting, the more vets and top tier battlers wanted to get involved. URL would again add another installment in December of 2016. Some of the notable matchups featured the return of Jazz the Rapper against Eat Heart, Chef Trez vs Mike P, New Jersey Twerk vs Glue Easy, Steams vs Danny Myers, and Bill Collector vs Mr. Wavy. They would add a 5th installment at the top of 2017 that included O-Red's return versus Av, Clean Paper's return against New Jersey Twerk, JC's return against Chef Trez, the Saga vs Tink the Demon, and a 2-on-2 featuring Ryder and Jackboy Maine versus Snake Eyes and Dougie. Now let's pause. Understanding that the Born Legacy series was running dry in a matter of 2 years, URL would then seek another movement to reinvigorate the brand once again. Adding a spin-off to the Born Legacy series, JB, the mastermind behind Black Market Media, would introduce an innovative series for the culture and the URL brand, the Band series. The concept plays off of having unknown matches in a somewhat dark setting and exclusive crowd. While the concept of secret matches has always been around, it is the environment, presentation, and the camera work of the series that made Band such a special series.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the Ultimate Rap League. This is not a test. Please turn off all electronic devices and pay close attention. The following content is banned.
Initially, the Band series served as a one-off event where single matchups took place. The first matchup to kick off the movement was Steams vs Jackboy Maine towards the latter portion of 2018. Jackboy's name would become synonymous with the Band series with his masterful performance he put on. The URL platform will continue to release singular battles in the series, including a dope battle between Franchise vs Mac Mel, Snake Eyes against the new and refined Sensei Saga, and an interesting matchup between Shotgun Suge and X Factor. But the one to highlight is the first Band battle to reach 1 million views between New Jersey Twerk and Chess. Seeing the traction that the band setting was getting, in the beginning of 2019, the URL would cross over the band series with the Born Legacy series to create Band Legacy, one of the most innovative events of all time. The event carried a similar theme to the original Born Legacy series, the idea of giving up-and-comers and middle card talents a chance to showcase their greatness. In a great 3-day event that hosted PGs, a one-off, and a main card of unknown battles. It was very action-packed. Some of the notable battles of day 1 was Riggs vs. Luke Castro serving as a one-off, Radio B vs. Spanish Harlem as a PG, and Swamp vs. Your Honor. That was the battle of the night as a PG battle. And one of the best battles of the weekend.
Bedroom, so where he at? I ain't got an ass. I slide across the carpet, poke him, and shock his ass. Slide.
Look like bah! Another dumbass nigga that'll get shot in his damn face. Cause all that hee hee ha ha comedian shit, I ain't feeling it, bro. So for every knock knock, it's a pop pop. Now which one of you other motherfuckers wanna finish the joke?
Day 2 included Cuban vs. Young Grizz, Roller vs. Brooklyn Hands, and D.I. the Handyman vs. Bada from the Block. Day 3 included Squeako vs. Moon, and Fuse vs. Ace Amin in a very dope style clash. Some of the best band battles weren't even announced. There was Drugs vs. Bill Collector, Ryder vs. Sensei Saga, Jackboy Main and Big T in an insane style clash, and the show-stopping Goonies vs. Cave Game encounter, Av vs. Blue Easy.
Yeah, you dick sucker, or you ain't heard I'm a fifth tucker? We'll find out if this shit real. It's a myth buster, the big tucker. Yeah.
With this machine I'm blaming, his whole team live panic. Jack froze up and then died. Now you seen Titanic shit against
The overall weekend was a success, and URL would not waste any time in adding 2 more installments of the Band Legacy series in the latter portion of 2019. Band Legacy 2 included notable battles like Jerry West vs. Mac Mill, Gunpowder Pat vs. Your Honor, Stewie Newton vs. Ryda, Danger Zone vs. Holmesy the God, Street Hymns vs. Kid Chaos, Mike P vs. Drugs, Ace Amin vs. Burke Bucks, and an electrifying matchup between Danny Myers and Franchise. Band Legacy 3, the final installment of the crossover series, included Mr. Wavy vs. Mac Mill, Mac Myron vs. Ryda, Swamp vs. Bad News, Don Marino vs. Holmesy the God, Jackboy Main vs. Suge, Sirius Jones vs. Mike P, Cortez vs. JC, O-Red vs. Danny Myers, Bill Collector vs. Your Honor, and 2 Champion of the Year contenders, Ill Will vs. Geechee Gotti. This was another great weekend filled with battles and another series that proved to be vital in URL's advancement. Now let's pause for the second time. Now, in 2022, there are over 12 installments of the Born Legacy series, and that's not to mention Born Legacy Supreme 1 and 2 and the Band Legacy crossovers. The impact of Born Legacy and Band Legacy is immense, and if you were to take a look at all the amazing battles that occurred under that umbrella from 2016 and on, you would be surprised at how many battles we wouldn't have the chance of seeing. It's safe to say that a large chunk of URL's history and advancement would be missing without the contributions of Born Legacy and Band Legacy. The crazy thing is, there's a whole other series that's just as important as those two. After a brief hiatus from the original Born Legacy format, the URL decided they wanted to return to the essence of battle rap. The true small room environment that encouraged rappers to not rely on antics, crowd participation, or any other theatrics, just their raps. An exclusive event with no fans, just battlers and their entourages. Here is where the Smack volumes emerged. On December 9th, 2017, Smack Volume 1 was filled with a bunch of matchups Most notably, New Jersey Twerk vs. JC, O-Red vs. Briz Rothstein, K-Shine vs. Danny Myers, and the talk of the night, Rum Nitty vs. Iron Solomon. Another small room installment and another major success that sparked an interest around the culture. Till this day, people still regard Solomon vs. Nitty as one of the best volume battles of all time and one of the best small room battles of all time. Striking while the iron is hot, the URL staff returned with the blockbuster card 3 months later, Smack Volume 2. This included Big K's return vs. T-Top, a grudge match between Mike P and Young Cannon, New Jersey Twerk vs. A-Verb, Strapped In vs. Showtime, the return of John John vs. Rum Nitty, and the long-awaited matchup between Cortez and O-Red. But the major longer-awaited matchup that we were really looking forward to was Hollow Da Don vs. Arsenal. Unlike the Born Legacies, the volume sparked major attention from the superstars in the culture. Everyone wanted to be on the volumes, which is what made the volumes so epic. Even after the star-studded Volume 2 card, the third installment of the volumes proved to be the best edition of the volume series.
End up with a bust head. Lil Hawk. Something small slanted. Spud Webb.
It's much iller, and my heart just realer. I done seen triumphal things, you just talk, little nigga. Let them swing, my weave mean, jump start, just split them. Cut clean, new Lion King. See that scar much clearer.
She's sticking with me. Razor, spectacular blue star, pretty Ricky. Gun, I'm clumsy with it. Twerk said the target was this nigga Nitty. So I started drugging rum, but somehow I slipped a Mickey.
Every battle was entertaining and held a great deal of replay value. You had Chef Trez vs. Loso, a bullpen grudge match, Briz Rothstein vs. Mr. Wavy, where Mr. Wavy called out Briz all year, DNA vs. Mickey Fax, which was one of the best and biggest grudge matches of all time, JC vs. Av in an incredible bar fest, New Jersey Twerk vs. Rum Nitty, which was on the verge of being an instant classic, O-Red and Iron Solomon in a solid battle, and Geechee Gotti vs. K-Shine that held major Champion of the Year implications. The night had many memories and holds many memories to my heart and showed the volumes is one of, if not the best, events that URL has to offer. In 2019, URL released 2 more installments, Volume 4 at the top of the year, including Chef Trez vs. Danny Myers, Charlie Clips vs. New Jersey Twerk, T-Top vs. Clean Paper, Arsenal vs. Geechee Gotti, Shotgun Shook vs. Rum Nitty, and John John vs. O-Red. Another star-studded card and another eventful night with amazing exchanges between Twerk and Clips, John John and O-Red, Rum Nitty and Suge, and Arsenal vs. Geechee being the highlight of the night.
That battle shit, you got all these new battle rappers on it. I miss my old gun, Twerk. Scrape the cereal off. So if the cops find it, the numbers is never matching on it. So the last time I seen my bow, wow, it had scratches on it. That's my family plan. I'm ready to put them all on the line. I'm talking blaze your brother, slay your mother, bust your grandma, like the Wayans brothers.
Volume 5, which is one of the more underrated volumes, included the leaders of the new school with Ace Amin and Swamp, an interesting clash between Reed Dollaz and Sue Surf, Champion vs. Champion and O-Red vs. Geechee Gotti, an aggressive matchup between Chess and Arsenal, Goat Schemer vs. Goat Puncher and Chilla Jones vs. Rum Nitty, and the long-awaited grudge match between DNA and A-Verb. This is one of my favorite volumes in the series. Now let's pause again. In 2022, the volume series has 9 installments within 5 years of its existence, and with the short sample size, it already had immense impact on the culture. Volumes created a blueprint for URL to utilize for their app-only events. 2019 and 2020 proved to be years where URL had to be innovative and adaptive in how they released their content. The volumes gave them a prototype of how they can continue to carry on private events in smaller environments. In 2019, URL released their app where subscribers could get exclusive content. To incentivize more consumers to acquire the app, they threw private events that subscribers could enjoy exclusively for only $8 a month. Cop the app, by the way. And these app-only events were amazing, and I will get to those shortly. Another thing to highlight is the role that volumes play in the Champion of the Year implications. Volumes at the end of the calendar year has always had a large effect in ranking and evaluations of battlers when it came to the panel of the following year. Major examples include O-Red vs. Briz Rothstein, that sealed the deal for O-Red, Geechee Gotti vs K-Shine, B-Dot vs Chilla, K-Shine vs Pat Stay, Ill Will vs Danny Myers, Sue Surf vs Twerk, Real Sick vs DNA, Easy to Block Captain vs Shine, and KCJ vs Vixen the Assassin. They spark up amazing interest and a great deal of excitement when it comes to the Cody and Wody conversation that transpires the following year. And like we did with the Born Legacy series, imagine if all these volume battles didn't occur. In only 9 installments, there are over 30 battles I consider to have good to great replay value, and at least 10 battles that have potential to be classics. Now when you put together the collection of volume battles with the collection of Born Legacy and Band Legacy battles I listed, you have over 60 quality battles that save the URL platform, and the pulse of the brand. And before I forget, let's touch on the first 2 app-only events. The Update 2.0 at the end of 2019 served as the first app-only event on the URL app. The card included Big T vs Danny Myers, Franchise vs JC, Mike P vs Snake Eyes, Shotgun Shook vs Tay-Rock in a rematch, Cortez vs T-Top in a very entertaining encounter, and Rum Nitty vs Sensei Saga in the Battle of the Night. The first app event of 2020 was an incredible weekend full of battles. Charlie Clips vs JC, Tay-Rock vs Glue Easy, Bill Collector vs T-Top, Arsenal vs Drugs, Shotgun Shook vs Franchise, Rum Nitty vs Big T, Chess vs O-Red, John vs Jerry West, Danny Myers vs Mike P, and Chilla Jones vs New Jersey Twerk as one of the last battles of the night. All 10 battles were entertaining, and most of these battles were filled with memorable moments. But the last thing I really want to focus on to really drive my point home is how small rooms saved battle rap during the pandemic. In March of 2020, it was confirmed that we were in a global pandemic. Everything was in a frenzy. Sporting events, award ceremonies, and battle rap. The URL platform had to find creative ways to keep the fans entertained without being able to do face-to-face battles and physical events. We endured flashback battles, virtual battles that took away from the battle rap feel that we know and love. The first hint of normalcy we got back in battle rap came in the month of April with the Sterilize events that took place with the help of the Ruin Your Day staff. After about a 30-day drought of fresh content, the URL was able to tap into a format where battlers were able to adhere to COVID guidelines. The battlers battled outside on the roof with a small group of spectators. This card included the emergence of Rooftop Dot against Rum Nitty, B Magic vs Geechee Gotti, and Emerson Kennedy vs Danny Myers. The event was small but extremely effective and provided a format for physical battles to carry on. And with the assistance of Black Market Media and the Caffeine headquarters, URL was able to shoot a production that will go down as one of the most influential imprints of the decade, Ultimate Madness. The rollout was amazing. We got a chance to get to know the up-and-comers who were trying to make a name for themselves. This tournament not only prized the winner with $25,000, but also catapulted a good deal of the Ultimate Madness class in position to make a name for themselves. The Ultimate Madness series was amazing. 2 battlers in a room rapping for 9 minutes. Jada Nightwing, Real Sick, Kid Chaos, Lou Castro, Easy to Block Captain, and Fonz were the main battlers who raised their stock tremendously with the tourney. And on top of this, it spawned a new class movement that will be revered as one of the best revolutions in battle rap history. It is safe to say that this small room tournament not only kept battle rap afloat, but it also spawned 3 more URL tournaments afterwards. The small rooms prevailed once again. And to close, we were given a second installment of the Sterilized event that included my favorite battle of all time, a battle that transcended the battle rap realm, Sensei Saga vs B-Dot, but I will go into detail about that battle at a later time. We also were given a slew of great battles during 2020 that were placed in a small room environment, excluding the Ultimate Madness series, namely New Jersey Twerk vs Danny Myers, Daylight vs Tay-Rock, Real Sick vs Chilla Jones, B-Dot vs T-Top, DNA vs Vixen the Assassin, Murder Mook vs Tay-Rock, and Av vs Fonz to close out the year. I don't want the takeaway to be that small rooms are the end-all be-all when it comes to battle rap. I believe that the big stages and small rooms are both needed for the culture to thrive. But I wanted to highlight how integral small rooms are when it comes to the battle rap culture, specifically the URL platform. If this was wrestling, the Summer Madnesses and the Gnomes would serve as the WrestleManias and the Royal Rumbles, marquee events that deliver historical moments and have the whole world watching. The Born Legacies and the Volumes, on the other hand, serve as the Survivor Series and the SummerSlams, events that always put on good shows and are meant to keep the program afloat while awaiting for the major events. In short, they are both needed and they both are used to maintain their luster. But the small scale events are a bit more of the safety blanket that enables the culture to move forward in the time of turbulence.
Hasn't this battle happened? You and O-Red is if anybody has paid a close attention to battle rap in the past, let's just say 6-7 years, right? You and O-Red have had back and forths before. I vividly remember you being on stage when he's battling Daylight and he's going crazy against Daylight. You and Quest are on stage watching that battle. Like, so there's obvious history there. And then you talked about how like it's been a chasing game where when he was champion of the year and you tried to battle him, he didn't want to do it. And then when you became champion of the year, he wanted to battle you, and you were like, no, you need to get your prep or whatever. So what's the thing with Overhead? Because this has been a battle that should have happened a long time ago. This is a perennial volume battle, champion versus champion. Two people who are very underrated in some regards or whatever, and two people who are bar heavy, and two people who have been in the game, both been in the game for a very long time and haven't had that collision course yet. What has happened in between, this time period? Chilla Jones, for starters. Chilla Jones, KOTD champion, right? Champion of the year in 2020, right? The first person to be KOTD champ and champion of the year in the same career. And on top of that, you made the top 20 one time, and the one time that you did make the top 20, you won it all. So you got that. Top 5 battle of all time with JC. Top 5 KOTD battle of all time with Daylight. The best rookies versus vets battle of all time with Real Sick. Battled Arsenal, K-Shine, DNA, Disaster, Conceited, Sharon, Math Hoffa, Ilmac, Nitty, Geechee, Twerk, Iron Solomon, Tay-Rock, and Daylight. URL Crucible Scout, right? One of the best pin schemers of all time. So I guess my last question is, with all this being stated, and on top of this, you've done all this without a Summer Madness appearance.
Correct.
What keeps Chilla Jones motivated, and what else does Chilla Jones want to accomplish before it's all said and done?